Hi, I'm Josh Cadillac, and welcome to my podcast, Know Your Shit. I've been blessed to see great success, as well as seeing the bottom up close and personal in 2008. And if there's one lesson I've learned, is that if you want to have success and differentiate yourself from everyone else out there, you need to know your shit. As a successful real estate and crypto investor and an educator, it drives me insane that people do not immerse themselves in their craft. Everyone is so busy advertising and testing new sales techniques, they forget the most important thing, the product. Here I want to talk to the folks that got this right, the most successful people in the world in every industry. Bring them to you and find out what they learned in their business that made it great. When you listen to my podcast, you will know for sure that the topics and experts we have on have one thing in common. They know their shit.
Hello and welcome to the Know Your Shit podcast, where our knowledge and pride in what we do drives us to be excellent. My name is Josh Cadillac, and I'll be in the driver's seat for today's show as we strive to learn how to stop doing deals and start closing customers for life. Today's show is going to be a pretty interesting one, a simple solo podcast. I want to talk to you guys about negotiations. Absolutely one of my very favorite topics to talk about, to teach on. I love negotiation because it's such an important part of life. We do it so much. And so I want to talk to you about one that is a bit of a pain point for me and definitely one for the customer as well, which is agents that leave money on the table because they can't be bothered to negotiate beyond where they know a deal can be reached. So I had a situation, didn't happen too long ago now, where a couple of friends of mine had a house that they wanted to sell, and the house was beautifully finished. I mean, interior was fantastic. Like everything that could be done was done. The guy that owned the house, the husband was a bit of a handyman, so everything was just unlike, the shoemaker's kids that are running around barefoot. This is the opposite. Like, he really took care of his house and made it perfect. The thing is, we put the house on the market. We got a couple of offers right away. We got one that was like a full price. Everything was perfect. They didn't ask for anything. Good to go. And then everybody's favorite part, they did the home inspection. And in the home inspection, there were like a few things up in the crawl space. There were a couple of splices that were made without boxes, like a couple little electrical things. But there was one big thing. There was a roof issue. And the roof issue was that I guess when they had replaced the roof, there was a piece of wood that probably should have been replaced that wasn't. And now that piece of wood needed to be replaced. And so the initial estimate that the other agent got was for like $9,500 for this. And the agent calls me up and tells me, hey, we need $9,500. They got to fix this roof issue, yakety schmackety. And so I said right away, look, there's just no way. There's no way that we're going to be able to take and give you $9,500 to fix this. You need to go look at this number because the house doesn't need a brand new roof. That's a ridiculously high number. So the agent goes back and gets some other estimates and comes back with an estimate for $6,500. And, the problem wasn't as severe as what the first person was saying and whatever else, right? So I go to the seller. Now, in the meantime, in between time, we had made a few of the repairs for the things that were done, the electrical issues, because that would have kept it from qualifying for their financing and all that sort of thing. So some repairs have been made, and the seller had come to me and said, the agent comes to me and says, look, I know what you're going to say. There's no way you're going to give us the full $6,500. How about $3,500? Now, and the reason why she knew this, I'd already told her, look, it's not a brand new house. Your customer knew it wasn't a brand new house when they bought it, yet the house is nearly perfect inside. They're getting away with, a great house that's going to have, a long time of standing up well because everything has basically been replaced. It's fantastic. They knew this was a house that was built in whatever year it was. There's got to be reasonable expectations. You can't expect the seller to pay for everything brand new. It doesn't make any sense. So anyway, she says to me $3,500. So I go to I fulfill my ethical obligation. I go to my seller and I say to my seller, look, went back and forth with them. Here's where we are. $3,500 is what they want. And my seller gets super excited. My seller's like, wait a second, Josh, $3,500 and I don't have to fix anything else. I can just walk. I'm done. I said, yes. They said to me, oh my God, Josh, you're great at what you do. Thank you so much. That's perfect. That's awesome. That's amazing. We love it. Thank you so much. What a relief. We're so excited. I said, guys, give me a second here. Wait a minute. You're breaking my heart. I understand that you're okay with 3,500. Would you be okay if I went and worked a little bit and see if I could do a little bit better for us? So the seller's like, Josh, you do whatever. Just don't lose the deal, whatever. So I call the other agent up. And I say to them, hey, look, this is a young couple. It's a lot of money for them. That it's coming directly out of their pocket. I mean, it's not like, this is for the buyer. It's a small amount of the purchase price. They're financing almost all of this, right? For these sellers, it's coming directly out of their pocket. I said, look, I think a better, fairer number that I can get them to sign on to for sure is 2,500. The other agent didn't even bother consulting with their customer. She said, you know what, 2,500 is fine. It's a deal. We'll get it done. Do it. Guys, it was $1,000. It wasn't a lot of money. But here's the thing that I know. Almost every agent that I know that I've ever worked with, as soon as we had an agreement at 3,500, they took that deal. As soon as their customer told them they would take it, they took that deal and they didn't think about it again. I went back to see if there was any money left on the table. Because if there was any money left on that table, who did that money belong to? My seller. Who was I there to represent? My seller. Who needs to be looking out for the money left on the table? Their agent, the one they brought in to protect them. Oh no, Josh, the customer's supposed to look for that. If the customer was going to look out for that, then they wouldn't have needed to hire me. My job is protector. My job is to be the one that has done this transaction thing many, many times in the past. And therefore, because I know how it works, and I know whether or not there are opportunities that are left there. I had a sense that there was an opportunity, that the buyers wanted the house enough that we could get that extra $1,000. Let me tell you what I bought with that $1,000, folks. I bought customer loyalty that I put forth to you that most agents would be very difficult for them to duplicate. They will never work with anybody else ever again for any real estate transaction that they do. Because when I went back to them and said, hey, look, guys, I got bad news for you. I told you they wanted 3,500. You're going to have to deal with sending them only 2,500. I hope you don't mind keeping the extra $1,000. You thought my customer was happy before with me. Let me tell you how they felt about me when I saved them the extra $1,000 that they weren't even anticipating on getting. It's a little thing, but folks, those are the opportunities in our business that we got to really look for. These are the opportunities to separate ourselves. These are the opportunities to show them why we are not like the 10 other agents that they believe if they kick over a rock, crawl out. You have to be making that case, and you have to be making that case constantly and reminding them you're that good. Because here's the thing, folks, if you're making that case constantly, you know what you typically wind up being? You typically wind up actually being that good. You actually wind up being the goods. Do you want to be exceptional at the thing you do, or do you just want to survive and get paid? If the answer is survive and get paid, you listen to the wrong freaking podcast, because that's not what this is about. Knowing your shit is all about knowing what the frick you're talking about and making sure you're doing every single thing you can to get your customer to come out ahead. Why should they come out ahead? Because they hired you. That's the reason why they come out ahead. If you can't get behind that idea, well then, folks, you've pretty much guaranteed yourself a career of doing exactly what this show is all about not doing. Chasing paychecks. I need loyal customers, because loyal customers are the thing that determines whether or not I've built a successful business. Loyal customers is a reflection of the way those customers have experienced what it's like working with me. There is no bigger rejection than having customers that after working with you for months would rather start from scratch with somebody else. And in our industry, that happens 88% of the time. you can choose to listen to what everybody else out there is saying and go get that 12% customer retention rate that they have. Or you could say, this is crazy town to behave this way. There's got to be a better way. This podcast is about finding that better way, about identifying how to do this thing differently, how to do the things differently that get you the different results. So folks, this is an example. This is an example of just a real transaction. There's many others that I could tell you about. This one just came front of mind, and I thought I'd tell you a story a little bit about this transaction. But this is how I routinely try to conduct my transactions in a way that gets my customer a little better than what they could get someplace else. And this kind of brings to mind one other thing that I want to leave you guys with as I kind of wrap this up. One of the things that agents love to do in this industry is meet in the middle. Understand, meeting in the middle, if you're the one that offers to meet in the middle, you've already told the other side that you'll go to the middle without having gotten a concession from them. Always, if you can, if at all possible, avoid offering to meet in the middle. And when they offer to meet in the middle, they've just told you that they'll go to the middle. So if they're at 260 and you're at 265, and they say, hey, look, can we meet in the middle? Say, look, I don't know that I can meet in the middle, but if you could get me 263, I'll make my customer take it. I'll make him take the $2,000 haircut. All right? Now here's the thing. I would say that in a situation where the customer already told me they would take the 260. Or they would take the 260.25. If they come back and say, what's going to happen? What can they say? No, you're unfair. No, you know what they're going to say? Oh, I don't know if I can do. Well, you know what? See what you could do with your customers. See what the best you can come up with is. They go back and they ask, and the customer gives me the 263. Who comes home the conquering hero who just got them between $500 and $3,000 more than they thought they were going to get? Or they come back and they say, hey, look, Josh, my customer said, look, 260.25, that's it. They're not going any higher. All right, let me speak to my people, see what I could do. Because in our business, folks, we're not the final decision maker, which allows us to do this appeal to higher authority, which is such a powerful tool that we can use to go back and forth with the other side. This is using negotiation, the tools that we have available, to try to do a couple of things. One, preserve the relationship with the other agent, because I need that to try to get this negotiation bridged. If there's animus between me and the other agent, that doesn't bode well. And it also allows me to take and use the leverage that exists from that appeal to higher authority by saying, hey, look, I still got to go talk to my people. But I'm going to go fight for what you need with my people and see what I can do. Very powerful stuff, right? That negotiation, learning how to negotiate, and not just the touchy-feely, oh my God, it drives me nuts, the touchy-feely mainstream real estate education negotiation of let's figure out what everybody needs and enact a collaborative negotiation. That's great as long as the other side wants to friggin' collaborate. The second they don't want to collaborate, you're screwed. When you try to negotiate collaboratively with a non-collaborative negotiator, with a competitive negotiator, you're up the creek. And realistically, sometimes the best road to a collaborative negotiation is to negotiate extremely competitively up front to show the other side that you have the competitive skills, that they're not going to get it by you. So maybe they should just cool their jets and come to the table and see if we can't work out something that makes everybody else happy, as opposed to thinking that if they negotiate with you competitively, they're going to come out ahead because you're easy to roll. It's an important piece of understanding this negotiation thing well, folks, and doing negotiation well. These tools and skills are ones, I'm not going to lie to you, they're not easy to find in the real estate industry. You usually have to go outside of the real estate industry. I mean, I teach them, but I've never used this podcast as a platform to push my own classes or anything like that. I mean, I think that the stuff that we do is great stuff, and I think that the growth that we've seen, frankly, is pretty unprecedented and has been a reflection of the fact that what we're doing or we're talking about is different than what folks are talking about in the industry. But if you can't find it, if they're sitting there talking to you about the Harvard negotiation yakety schmackety, you want to go out there and find the folks that are talking about. Let me tell you what folks from other parts of the world that negotiate from sun up to sun and down. Let me show you the tactics and techniques they use to get what they want. You need both. You need the textbook stuff. You need the collaborative stuff, but you also need to know that when somebody makes a face, when you tell them a price, you sell, hey, it's $585,000, and they go, that's a negotiating tactic. You need to recognize it, and you need to be able to take and cut it off at the knees. Why? Because your customer's bringing you in to look out for them. If you can't recognize it and cut it off at the knees, well, frankly, are you well prepared to look out for them? And the answer is no. Being unprepared to protect your customer is the state that most agents go into the transaction. I'm encouraging you to be something different because the customer wants it. Your experience of the transaction will be better, and you'll like and respect yourself more when you know that you can go in there and hold your own with just about anybody. It's a great feeling to have. So folks, that's what I leave you with this time around. I hope that's helpful. Love negotiation, love talking about it, so I better cut myself off there before I go on for an hour. I hope this is helpful. I remind you always, it is your job, it is your duty to yourself and to your customer to always know your shit. Till next time, guys.